Hello and welcome back to the Second Chance to Live channel here on YouTube. Excuse me. I'm happy to see that you decided to stop by to watch this video presentation. To read today's article, I'll put my glasses back on and bring up the article. I read my articles for people who learn better through watching and listening, as we all learn in different ways. So here's the article. 56 years after my traumatic brain injury and what I would have liked to have known. 56 years after my open skull fracture, right frontal lobe damage, severe brain bruise with brainstem involvement, and a 3-week-long coma when I was 10 years old in 1967. Yesterday, I gave my presentation empowering current and future leaders in brain injury recovery and rehabilitation. I gave that at Harvard University Undergraduate Synapse chapter, or with a group in that particular chapter. So I also have a link to the presentation, which I will also include in the description portion of the YouTube video on YouTube. It is here in this article, which I also include a link to the presentation here in this video presentation, or this article introducing the video presentation. So let me just share. My passion is, one, to encourage, motivate, empower, and share hope with individuals living with brain injuries to see the vastness of possibilities, to not give up, to find a way to use our gifts, talents, and abilities in a way that will work for them, to be aware of what may be limiting them. And the second thing that I have a lot of passion about is to encourage current and future professionals to empower individuals living with brain injuries to advocate for themselves in their mind, body, spirit, soul, and emotions, advocate for themselves in their ongoing brain injury recovery process. In this presentation, the presentation that I gave to the Harvard Harvard University Undergraduate Synapse program, the group that I spoke to, I shared points that I would like to have known growing up with the impact of a traumatic brain injury. And this can be applied to people that have acquired brain injuries and or strokes or any other cognitive deficits that they may have. So these are points that I would like to have known as I shared it 56 years ago. A definition of learned helplessness so that I didn't stay stuck. Don't wait for your symptoms to be managed. A brain injury is only an event, not a destination. Ongoing holistic brain injury recovery is a process. Removing the label and the power of symptoms. So rather than focusing on symptoms, we need to look for solutions and not be distracted by symptoms. We can move forward before our symptoms are fixed. Encourage them to define success for themselves. Encourage them to believe that they are not limited. Encourage them to discover how to use their own genius. People living with brain injuries should not be abused. Brain injury recovery is about a marathon, not a sprint. Encourage them to proactively advocate for themselves. People living with a brain injury are a gift to their world, so encourage them with that reality. People living with a brain injury are more than a survivor. I like to refer to this as we are impacted by a brain injury, not a brain injury survivor. That empowers us to be able to use our gifts, talents, and abilities in ways that work for us instead of focusing on being a survivor, which can be equated to feeling like a victim of something. Discovering our genius may take time, so keep searching. To advocate for themselves, teach them how to fish. Not just give them a fish, so that they can then learn how to improve them, better their lives, enhance their lives, and create a good life for themselves. People living with a brain injury are not their brain injury. Encourage people living with brain injuries to create dreams. How people learn after their brain injury may be different than the way that they learned before their brain injury, so it's very important that they get tested. To encourage people living with a brain injury to not give up on their process, their higher power, or themselves, but to keep going because more is going to be revealed with time. We are not our deficits, limitations, or other people's opinions. Encourage them to think outside of the box of what they may be led to believe. A brain injury is not a stop sign, only a switch on the railroad of life that points us off into a different direction maybe than we would have ever gone. But the good thing about it is we can learn how to use our gifts, talents, and abilities in ways that will work for us, and that's been my experience. And it took a long time. It took 7 years after I was deemed to be unemployable, and I started receiving SSDI, but I still had a desire to give what I had in ways that would work for me, for people that wanted what I have. Encourage people living with brain injury to not give up on their dreams. Just find a way that they can follow their dreams in ways that work for them, which may be different than the way that they were able to follow those dreams before their brain injury. To move beyond believing that am dependent on the symptoms being fixed, my brain injury symptoms being fixed. Again, focus on solutions, focus on learning how to use what you have, not on what you can't do. Remind them that if they feel discriminated against or patronized, it is not about them. It's about people that don't understand or don't want to accept us or can't. Encourage them to advocate for themselves in their mind, body, spirit, soul, and emotions. Remove the label and the power of symptoms over the individual living with a brain injury. Teach them about neuroplasticity, about creating new neural pathways and brain reorganization, developing a brain-body connection through mirrored movements through crossing the center line movements. So they're moving across. So what it does, it helps to connect the right brain to the left brain through the corpus callosum, which is a bundle of nerve cells between the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Help the people you work with to change their perspectives from why me to why not me, and from what isn't to what is. So it's very important to change our perspective so that we don't continue to feel stuck by what isn't. We need to look at what is, and we need to realize that we are gifted by having a brain injury, although it may not seem that way at the present time, but as we continue to go forward, we'll see how the dots will connect forward. It's essential to involve the whole person in a holistic and ongoing brain injury recovery process, ongoing recovery in their mind, body, spirit, soul, and emotions. And learn about the grieving process, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. To move from awareness to acceptance to action. Share that awareness with individuals impacted by brain injuries. Give them permission to grieve the losses of their brain injury. And that was very important for me. I needed to confront my denial because I tried so very hard not to be affected by a brain injury. I had to confront my denial. I had to be angry about what I couldn't change. I tried to bargain my way out of what I couldn't change, which never worked over 20 years of getting and losing jobs, 10 years of undergraduate, and 3.5 years of graduate school to get my master's, but it all left me without a purpose. And I discovered my purpose through my grieving process, being able to accept what I can't or couldn't change. Awareness, acceptance, and action helps us to get into action because we realize that we have choices. And then show active, positive regard to people living with brain injuries, or empathy. Treat people like you would like to be treated. Everyone is susceptible to a brain injury. And they encourage people to ask a higher power to lead, guide, direct them in their recovery process and rehabilitation process one day at a time. Take the process and journey one day at a time, and don't give up. More will be revealed. As I've heard, inch by inch, life's a cinch, yard by yard. It's very hard. And the final thing, it's just really important to live beyond brain injury symptom management. And at the bottom of this article, which I also include in the description portion of YouTube, is a link to my resources for ongoing holistic brain injury recovery process to empower them. So this is the end of the video presentation of the article. I want to thank you for your time. Before I go, let me say this. Please do not give up on your process of loving God or yourself, because more is going to be revealed with time. The pieces of the puzzle will come together in the correct order and at the right time. So I'll say so long for now. You have a great day, and thanks for your time.